So we're going to start off today talking about news because if you go to bodjock.com on your account and you pull up the economic news, you can just find it just by scrolling down on the bottom there, all the way down. And then once you click on the economic news, you can kind of see how the news is played out for the week. What do we have left? The reason why I wanted to start it here is we have a big news event coming up here at 10:05, and so that is when Powell opens his mouth. So it tends to just be a market mover. My suspicion is we probably priced in what people are anticipating what he's going to say. So unless he says something like crazy off the wall, I don't know that we're going to have any kind of like crazy explosive stuff, right? So, we had the pump from Nvidia hype and all that, and that's just your classic thing that we talk about all the time, right? Which is buy the rumor, sell the news, and so that's what I was talking about before the news dropped on the TA, and I think that. The hype kind of wore off, and people know that at the end of the day, the economy is still not that great. So it recovered, right? Back down. So just keep in mind, like I said, we have a news event at 10. It's going to have likely on those kind of news events, we may not like explode and stay up, right? Unless he says something very, very bullish or very, very bearish. That's what we'll make that adjustment. But, if he keeps to the script, keeps to his politician type answers, you'll likely see a wick up, wick down, and then find the trend. So let's talk about our day yesterday. So let's see, where is it? Thursday. All right there. This was about market open, right here, somewhere in here. Yeah, 9:30. There it goes. So you see we have some lines here. We have this trend line that we were following. I added a couple lines how we were trading. So what we were teaching in the room is, although if you look here, right, we are continuing to see this bullish divergence through here. But keep in mind, as the divergence goes, right, and we have our fall, it somewhat plays out right here, right? Similar to here, right? We had our fall. It shows that, hey, there's about to be a reversal. Boom, played out, right? So the indicator nailed it, absolutely killed it. And these are great scalps, right? Because you have 439 all the way up to 440, 77. So, I mean, a ton of money can be made in that movement, right? So, let's talk about kind of the pattern, what we were teaching yesterday. You guys remember yesterday when I was talking about the and the TA, it was right around here or so. I said, I mean, this is literally just a textbook triple top. And so what we did here is we took a line in our room when we were trading, and we put it like this. All right, that was our upper phase. Then I took another line. Now this line, right, I wasn't able to draw until obviously this peak, right, which was about 10 a.m. So when we started trading this, right when it opened up, we had it basically break down, right? So it broke down like this. We had talked about in the room that we might find some support here because you had prior resistance, right? We did have our yellow line there. My yellow line was a little bit higher due to probably stuff back here. And so it did. It tried to find its support. But one of the things that we were talking about in the room, real time, is that we are still in this triple top. Now, the thing about patterns that y'all know or you may not know, right, is just because of the fact that you are in a bearish pattern doesn't mean it's 100% going to go down. What you need is the initial break, right? That's your first kind of phase of capturing this side, right? And then what happens is you find some level of support, it comes up, and it's going to test what we typically refer to as the neckline. So in this case, it's interesting because we actually broke the neckline. We began to push, right, up to this resistance line of 445.23 that we had, and then we rejected. And so the moment I saw this wick rejection and we got our candle close, we drew this line. And I said, if we do not come back up to test this line. If it continues to show resistance, we're going to drop. So the moment that we fell below this 440.70, I knew that this was not good. And so we were literally real time talking about it in the room. We were all in puts. And so we saw this one come down like this. I actually entered it before the close, which I don't always recommend, but I did it because we did break back below that 200 on the close, and we had a rejection candle here. So once I saw it gaining some steam here, we entered that put and just rode that sucker down. On top of that, if you look, that happens to be right when we called this this short, right? And so now we had this long call right up here, but this is where we teach in the room. Every I don't care what indicator it is out there, right? There's no single indicator that is going to just be your I win every trade, right? It's just not. I mean, if it was that easy, right, people would be trillionaires all over the place. But you have to have rules. And so part of our rules are, why would I take a long, right, when I'm having trouble maintaining that 200 on my 2 minute? So I'm below it. I'm in a death cross, right, which is bearish. I'm in a potential reversal pattern after a pump, which is potentially bearish. It's a super risky long. I would never take that, right? And if you were patient, which is what we talk about, patience and discipline, right? Then you would have waited just a few extra candles to see. Now, the only way I would take this long is if we came down, we dojied out here and we got a bullish confirmation candle like that, right? Then I would consider taking that long, but I would not take it up here, right? And that's part of setting rules. That's what we teach in the room, and what we teach in the academy. So this was literally a textbook setup. I mean, people made just a ton yesterday with this setup, and so let me stretch this one out so I can flip back and forth. And so if you look at, where's my trading floor? Go back to the trading floor. And so I know many others had it right, but you can see, like even Candy right here closed hers at $1,074, which is awesome. So, and I know anybody trading in the room was up because we all stayed short or put on that. And so throughout the day, we did have our drop. It continued. I had anticipated in the room that we would likely get a possible bounce around 440.93 of support. And that was due to the fact that we had lots of, resistance here. So typically resistance comes as support. Now, this is where I flipped my tune, right? We had not, we were not in the room at this point, but I was able to identify this is when you break what you think might be support and it just shatters it, right? Just continues to break it. Now, because we're this low, this turns to what? It turns to resistance. And so now you're testing, okay, what was once resistance a lot of times turns as support, but it can also reclaim as resistance. So what happened here? We broke through, we came up, we reclaimed as resistance, right? And then it lost its traction, created its lower low right here, tried to come up, couldn't do it, and bam, that's when everybody hops on and says, okay, now this is acting as resistance, let's ride it back down to the next level. And so that's kind of how that day is played. Obviously by now the market's closed, but you can see the indicators did flip to that long there. So let's talk about where we go from here. So we have a few things going on the shorter time frame. The 2 minutes showing that we do have a bearish gap fill. We are pushing up. The only thing about that bearish gap fill is just be patient with your entry on the market open, because you can see from back here on our death cross was 444, almost 445. And since then, now we are actually on the 2 minute golden cross. And so that, as long as we stay above this 21, you don't want to take puts. You want to just be really careful. I would be really patient. You want to, my perfect case scenario on a put would be give it a few, like you figure about 945, somewhere, it would be somewhere up here. And that's going to separate this 21 from this 200. So if it flips this 21, now you got a little room to scalp it right down in case it can't break the 200. We do have some things showing up here. You know, you got a little lower highs on the RSI, you got higher highs on the candles. So some divergence popping up. We do have a gap fill that's saying bearish. Um, I suspect that we'll probably continue to push up a little bit, maybe even into 440.11 before Powell speaks, and then from there, you know, we could just have a pretty wild drop off, depending what he says. It's just, you know, I would draw, like, this is probably what we'll do in the room. You know, we'll draw some just basic channels, like this. We'll just take our peaks and we'll draw the channel like that, right? And so these are the channels to watch for. So for your puts, right, if we continue to do this kind of rising channel, or, you know, it's kind of the form of a bear flag, because you have your fall and then your channel up, but there was really not anything clean in here, right? So, but it is still a rising channel. Rising channels tend to break. Where's the 200 and the 21? So the 200, that I have mine both orange only because I know which one's faster and which one's not. But my 200 on my 2 minute is right here, which is 438.18, and my 21 is up here aiming like this, right, straight up. And so the to be clear, I use the 200 EMA and the 21 SMA. Oh, sorry. Yeah, is it blurry? Let me look. I can try zooming in. Let me or bring it in a little bit. Let's see. Let's see if that helps. Might just be too far away. But yeah, no. If you have any questions, be sure to ask. And so that's kind of the room that I'm gonna play here, right? So we could see a push north like this, and we could see a pullback, right after market open or right before market open, before we have another push up. But currently, right now in the extended hours, we do have higher highs and higher lows that are forming, right? So you don't want to really enter a call right here. Yes, it may take off. If it does, like I teach people in the room, you know, the good news is the market moves like crazy. If you miss one oscillation, it's not the end of the world, right? It's better to be safe. And so for me, I probably won't take a call because we've already kind of ran up. What I've noticed is, you know, the kind of the euro or time frame or markets love to push this thing up, and then the U.S. opens and loves to kind of drop it and wreck everybody. So, um, again, we got news today, right? So we'll play the range. If you guys want to trade or you want to learn some more of this stuff, we pretty much teach all this as we go for free in the trading floor when we're trading. So, and anybody can join. You just got to go to bodjock.com and sign up with an email. So that's kind of where I'm at with the SPY. If I had to choose a high or low to kind of watch for, I would be really careful taking puts on the SPY unless we break this channel. So somewhere between 438, you know, 438 or 438.50. I'd want to break below these, right, before I take that put, so you can ride this gap down. If we miss a pump on the market open, my perfect case scenario today would be market open push north, comes up, it hits this level here, holds as resistance, maybe a double top that I can identify, and then I'll ride that sucker back down. That'll be just another massive day. So let's take a look at the 1 hour just to make sure we're not missing anything, because remember, that's going to be a very key area. So on the 1 hour, one of the things I want to point out, I've talked about this. If y'all have been following me for a while, I'm going to mute a lot of this. If you guys have been following me for a while, you guys know that, like, back here, I was like, man, this looks like it could be very head and shoulderish, right? And so I was calling for a rejection all the way down to 431. We got to 433, so that was pretty close. Now, when we hit this 433, I had mentioned that we could continue down a little further to 431, but it doesn't have to be a larger head and shoulder. Now, once we started to gain some momentum, we all took calls in the room. We rode this wave back up. I had mentioned that this might not hold because remember, the markets are very oscillatory, and the fact that it, you know, another word we use is the cyclical, right? So it likes to kind of do the same thing on each side, right, that it did, if it is a true head and shoulders type pattern. And so we had this pump oscillation, this one here, higher low, which caused an explosion. We came down, created our head. We got our higher low, caused an explosion, even creating a higher shoulder. That rejected. Now, obviously, because this is a higher neckline, right, then here we could potentially hold a higher this area too, right? Now, what I'm gonna do here is this is what we always do in the room on a smaller time frame is I'm gonna take this line and I'm gonna clean this line up a little bit because we were trying to do it a little bit early, but now we have a clear definition of where that is. So let's just tighten this line up a little bit. And the reason why I'm doing this is now my shoulder line that I'm watching. So what that means to me is even if we pump up here, if I hold rejection here and I get short calls and I get all that bearish stuff popping up, I'm taking that put because we're now creating that second side, right? If we even make it. Now, if we don't make it, if we let's say we only get up to 440 or so, right, and it begins to reject like this, and then work its way back down, come Monday or Tuesday, I think that we have a lot more downside, right, with this pattern because it's going to play out. But remember, this is not a high probability to play out all the time. If you look at a lot of times with these type of patterns, I would really feel better if I had some form of bearish divergence popping up, but we don't really have any bearish divergence. There's not really any bullish divergence. There's not a lot there, if that makes sense. So that's why I'm not sure that it's ready to do any of that. But this is the trend lines that I'll be watching. I honestly believe that even if this breaks out, I think it's going to be something like it'll be a fake out because what typically happens on these is when people start to see these patterns kind of late, what's going to happen is either A, it's going to come back up here, it's going to hit here, hit this line, then it's going to break this line right here, right? And it's going to pump up, and then this is the area of explosion because now people believe this pattern is invalidated. So it'll have a slight pullback, and then it's just gonna freaking go nuts like that, right? That's usually what happens when a pattern gets invalidated, right? Because people realize that it's not as bearish as the whole world thought, right? Now the other scenario that I believe happens, just to keep you safe on it, would be pumping up like this, hitting this line, creating a kind of a lower shoulder, double top kind of feel. We come down, hit this line, get a little bitty bounce. We'll come down, test this neckline. I think at that point we would have a big fall. But I think around 420, it's going to go like that and then right back up like this. So if I do take this put, if I do see that playing out over the next few weeks, I will likely trail that, right? And just be super careful on taking it because this line is going to be huge because if you zoom out, right, you can see it's a peak off of here. So it's not super long wise, right? But we do have that peak off. Actually, let me pull this out here 1 second. We just fixed this yesterday. I need to lock this line. Let me a second because I just noticed that one is moved again. I think. Let's go to the daily. No, it's there. Okay, there it is. That's what I was looking for right there. That peak. So there is another peak further back here. So we have we're basically hitting off of this one, and you can see each time this one it exploded up, this one it exploded up. So it's going to be a big potential support. But if you zoom out, right, we still kind of have this up pattern. So if this does happen to break, man, it's going to drop like crazy. Like it's going to be pretty wild. So that's what I'm watching. Again, watching this pattern here. It doesn't not 100%. That's my and or if situation. Everything in trading is and or if, right? There's nothing guaranteed. If it was, trading would be easy. So that's kind of my long drawn out explanation on SPY. I'm just gonna look briefly at tech stocks, see if anything pops out. Apple had a pump north and it lost it. It is back into a death cross. If it stays below the 21 SMA on the 1 hour, then I would stay put on that. Google's same thing, back into the support. I don't see anything crazy. Microsoft looks like it might get a little bit of a push north potential because we did flip green on our divergence hunter. Apple did too. It's actually barely. It's within that hour right now. And Amazon did too. So we may see a little bit further push north because we are seeing that flip to green. Not quite on Google yet though. Tesla, a lot going on in Tesla. So let's open this one up. So let's go to the 1 hour. This was the channel I've been following kind of with Tesla. We're like right smack in the middle. My plays on Tesla would be if you're above 480, right? You can take those calls. As long as you stay below that 480, I would stay put, because you have tons of resistance within here. So this could just continue to act as resistance. However, if it flips it, right, then it's going to take off. Oh, this is NVIDIA. Why was I saying Tesla? I swear I opened up Tesla. I'd say the price and everything didn't look right. That was NVIDIA. So this is NVIDIA. I would still hold the same TA with it, right? So it had its explosion north. It fell below it. This area was once resistance. It couldn't hold that, so it's potentially going to act as resistance again, which will give it further downside. I think NVIDIA will probably pull back to about 455 before it gains like real big support. I mean, we got Bollinger Bands flipping red. I mean, there's a lot going on the bearish side of that. So let's now click on Tesla. I was going to say that channel did not look right to me because Tesla, if you remember, we had this kind of following channel. We had talked about the kind of that rounding on the top here coming down, and so we broke down. We found support right there, which was pretty much spot on with our trend lines. We had that support. We kind of double topping here right at the neckline. So if it breaks, I would say anything below 226 or so, you can take a nice little put scalp down to about 220 before you get a bounce. But keep an eye on this because this is a pretty strong trend line. So if it does come up here like this, comes back down, hits this again and gains support, when it gets up to this neckline, that's going to be an explosion. So however, if it breaks below this trend line, this purple one here, and we start to act as resistance, then we're coming down to the next level. Because you'll see right here, what was once resistance, again, if it flips back to resistance, bam, down it goes. So that's the range that I will play with Tesla if you're doing that one. We already did NVIDIA. Netflix had a nice little pump. Guys, this is what I talk about. Be really careful. So when I say like, hey, if you caught this, great job, but don't chase it. Don't chase it to here because what goes up goes down. It's the nature of the market. And so when you have your pump, typically this is like a buy the rumor, sell the news, right? And then the trend forms. Doesn't mean we can't continue north. I mean, we can keep this higher, low. I mean, there's a basic trend line here that would have told you to take a call here. You got 1, 2, 3, bam, right up. So just some basic TA like that can get you nice little scalps from there. So Netflix does have a little divergence here. It is flipping green, but we are in that death cross. So for me to take any calls on Netflix, I would prefer to have it get above 414 or so. Then you can ride it up to about 418.19. If it gets above that 200 EMA, then it should be pretty nice little push. All right. So let's jump into the dollar. So the dollar, like I said, truth be told, I did not think it would break this yellow trend line. And so for those who have been following this trend line, it was not massive, but it was not small, right? So this was that trend line, right? So we just had 2 peaks here, but it was pretty heavy rejections off of them, right? And so we broke that. So now there's really not there's not a clean trend line from there per se. You can take maybe something like this, like that. Yeah, actually that would line up. Look at this, right where we rejected right here. So this could be the beginning of the descent, back down for that dollar, which would obviously push the markets back up. I had people message me. They're like, why we do the TA on the dollar. So for those that are new or don't understand it, I do the TA on the dollar because the dollar is inverse to the market. So if the dollar goes down, the markets go up, vice versa, within that range and stuff. So it's really good to do the TA because if I see a possible explosion on the dollar, I want to get ready to take my puts on the market because it's likely going to inverse. So which is another reason why we follow the VIX. I haven't been doing as much TA on the VIX, but we do follow it. The VIX is also inverse, and you can see, we kind of almost have a rounded feel right here. So it's almost different than what we were talking about on the dollar, because we kind of have a little rounded feel. But you also have, a little bit of a kind of a head and shoulder type potential here too. So, but I haven't done a lot of TA in the VIX, so I've been following mostly the dollar. I just kind of watch the VIX as I trade to look for candle reversals, stuff like that. So, Bitcoin. Let's talk about Bitcoin. So Bitcoin's doing not much any different than what we talked about yesterday. We had our pump up, our rejection, and we just really haven't done nothing. At the end of the day, it's just back in this channel, just back to ranging. The most important thing about Bitcoin is going to be this support trend here around 25.8, maybe 25.7, and this 200 EMA in the 1 hour. If whichever one breaks as this begins to squeeze down is where it's going to go, and go in a big way. So the way I would play Bitcoin is if this comes down and squeezes, let's say over the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, something like that. Actually, let's see, 1 hour. August. So this would be about Monday or Tuesday. This is actually next week. So, within next week, we'll see if we continue to range like this, right? We'll see this kind of squeeze down like that. Now, I have a suspicion with Powell talking, it's going to push one way or another. If he speaks and we break above this, right, and it holds like this, right, you're going to see another explosion back up. And we'll be back at 27, 7, 28K in no time, because it's just going to reclaim this side here. Now, if what he says is bearish and it's enough to push it below this, right, then it's almost a guarantee that we're coming back for a retest right here. That's going to be a crucial moment because we've wicked to it once and twice. So if we wick to it one more time and holds like this, like a really strong wick, that's going to explode. So it's going to be a wick down and explosion north. Now, if we get a pop down and we actually close down here somewhere, that's going to be seen as super bearish, and then we'll have to discuss that another time, because down we go, right? So I still have my low trend line down here somewhere in the 19.8, 20K. I don't know that we're gonna hit that anytime soon. Without news aside, I don't know that we'll hit a lower low than this of 24,790. So unless some news comes out to push it like we talked about, to where it closes below here, creating that lower low, because then it'll be a chain event push down. So let's talk about my live trader yesterday. So I made some settings yesterday. I made a little bit of adjustments as I was kind of working and trading throughout the day. This is how my day ended up. So we closed the trade market here, or the candle here. So this is where we began our day basically. We had set to take a put if it crossed the 440.50 range. And so it pumped up here. Notice it didn't, this is the beauty of the live trader. It did not take the put right here. It actually came down, took the put right there, came down, and we took our profit. So ended up just an overall good trade there. So now we did take a call on this. This call that I had put was in anticipation that we would get a bounce. It kind of, this is just unlucky, honestly, because I chose this range because it's a safe range where if we fall down, right, and we don't reclaim that as support, right, then it won't even take the trade. It won't even take the trade unless the candle closes above it. And look at this, it literally closed like right here above it. So otherwise it would have just skipped this. So I did add a stop loss into this one, so I did just end up stopping out of that. The reason why I did on that is because we were very overly bearish yesterday, and so I didn't believe that we were going to get that bounce right away. So what I did is I had flipped my original put that was in there. So I flipped the original put from the upper part down to below this green line. So if we hit it, it would continue. So it did take that put. So it took the stop loss, made it back up on that put. And then I actually allowed this one to take it if it hit it twice, because I saw this coming down and bump up. So I figured if it comes up and hits this rejection line again, it's not a bad entry. So I did take these two here. And then from there, I did not take that as far as the live trader goes. So that was kind of the day, right? And so I do already have 9 o'clock. I am going to talk about the settings that I'm going to do for the live trader. I could probably just do it here, but let's mute it all, right? Because anytime we have our white, we had our red, and we had our green. So we are out of our range. We broke our range. So we want to do the same thing, right? We want to just remove the drawings. And we want to try to figure out where's our new range. So we know the pre is up here. So we know we have support right in this area here, right? So let's just draw that as our lower range of support for now. All right, and then let's find a resistance point up here somewhere. So I don't know that I like, let's go to like the 15 minute and see if there's any trend lines we can hit. So we know that this trend line is going to be a little higher. So let's just take, let's take this peak like that, and let's just pull this down like that. That gives us a kind of an upper trend line area. And then we know where price is right there. We do have some resistance up here. So let's mark this one as our red. All I'm doing, and I do this each day, I just create my zone. And then I can find like a, my white line is kind of where, is there another resistance, support, somewhere in the middle, maybe a POC, you know, price of, point of control, I mean. And so I'll mark it probably right there. The reason why I'm choosing this spot here is you have resistance here, tried to hold some support there, a lot of candle action through this price right here. You can see resistance here, we can see some support here, so it's viable, right? You know, not huge, but viable. So now that we have our range there, we do have an upper, so we can just draw kind of maybe a small lower, just using that point. So now we've kind of boxed it in, right? So now let's go to the 2 minute and let's see where we are. So based on this, right, if we're playing our ranges, if we get anywhere up into this range, we want to likely take that put. If we get down into this area here, we want to take our call. And so, and then the continuation call, you know, I would do above the red, and the continuation put, I would do below the green. That's how I typically play those. And so for the call, the first one we can do, we can say, I would say probably, you don't want to do at the line, you want to do just above the line. Because remember, it has to go below it and then back above it. And so we're going to do 437, we'll do 437.50 as our first call bounce. So all we got to do is just adjust the date once it's already all populated in here. And we said 437.50. One too many fours. Strike price is fine. Contract days, so it is Friday. I don't like to do 0 days because, man, you got to be like, I do 0 days, but when I watch it, when I have surefire trades, right? Not like on these. So I'm going to choose, we'll choose the 3 days, but I still don't want it to trade over the weekend, so I'm going to stop all trades by 3:45. So good, bad, or ugly, we're going to stop. This is the settings of our automation that you have full control over. So if you have any idea of how to trade options, you'll know kind of what I'm looking at here. But we'll do the 5 volume, 5 contracts, contract days 3, and then trading zone will allow it to take trades all the way up to 3:45. Actually, I might. I'm going to bring this down to 3. That way it'll take a trade up to 3, but it'll close it at 3:45 if it doesn't get out. That way I don't have anything carrying over. No DCA. I'm gonna. So the stop loss, I'm gonna give it a little room. I'll put 0.5 on it, and then I'll monitor it. I may make adjustments throughout that day. All right. So that is gonna be our push there. And keep in mind, make sure you change the date. So that's why that yellow candle was still there. So now that I have that one set, so we have our set. Now you won't see anything once you do it because it's not 9:30 yet, right? It won't plot it until 9:30, which is fine. So we know our range. So now our continuation call, I would say, 441. I'd say 441.50. I'd be okay with taking a continuation. So 3 o'clock. $441.50. We're not going to DCA, and we'll still do that stop loss. The reason why I'm going to watch the stop loss because we have the news, right? So I want to be really careful on how that range hits. But we'll be live trading in the room when the news hits at 10, so we can make adjustments as we need. I'm doing this now just for people so they can understand how I do the settings. This is pretty much how I trade now. So for the puts, we want to take a put off of a rejection point up here. So we definitely want to take a put if it gets up to that and comes back down, I'd say to 440.50 on a rejection. So let's say this one, let's do 440.50. Okay, so we already have our range actually. So you just got to adjust the date and the contract days. Put, we don't want to go past 345. We're going to stop end of day, no DCAs, and stop loss 0.5. Okay. And our continuation put would be if it breaks here. So I'd say 436.50 or so is not a bad spot. Take. So let's do the same thing. 3, and you can see how I'm doing it pretty quickly. Like it doesn't take very long to do this, guys. Once you get the hang of it. 43.50. All right, it's got the strike, and they have a stop loss. Oops, 0.5. There we go. So in a nutshell, what we oh, no problem. Yeah, and the beauty is what we do on our stuff here is this is automated, right? But this is how we actually trade our live trades, by setting the ranges, because the biggest issue is, and Chris, I don't know if you run into this, is with trading is patience and discipline. And what I mean by that is, how many times do you you say, you tell yourself like, hey, I want to, like, I think this is going to drop, right? Let's say like right here. Then you get bored and you're like, man, it's going to drop. Like, I'm just going to enter it. And you enter right here. And then it pumps. And yeah, you're right? You probably got out of it. You made some money. But you could have made so much more money if you just waited to the trend line that you knew was there. You knew it was there. And even on a take profit, right? Like, and even I still do this sometimes, right? Where you see those big wins coming. And like yesterday, I was telling people in the room, I said, we took a put at 444, and I said we are almost guaranteed to come down to 441, right? But a lot of us ended up trailing it tight, and we got wicked out right here. And look, it came right to where we knew. And so that's part of trading with the technology, is it takes away that patience and discipline, because in the morning I take 10, 15 minutes. I set my range. I set where I wanted to take the trade, and then I just leave it. Either it takes a trade or it doesn't, right? You can preset your stop losses. You can preset everything, so which is great. So you can choose your contract times, your put or your call. We actually allow you to trade all of these, so you can do Apple, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Tesla, whatever you want. It's not just the SPY. I just typically trade the SPY a lot of times. I might add, maybe next week we'll spend some more time on this on the huddle, and we'll do more of these. I do 3 contract days. Tells you the days. You got the time. You can have a trading zone time. If you want to stop all of them at the end of the day, so you don't have nothing rolling into the next day, you can do that. This is just the timestamp of when you're starting your trading, and this is the open price of when do you want it to open in that direction. So, and then you can pre-populate your take profits if you want a DCA. You want to add stop losses. It's all in there. And that's the nice thing, is you don't have to look at the exchange. You don't even really have to touch your exchange. You just populate it here, and then it does all the trading for you. So, which is great, because options, can be confusing, especially when you're dealing with ask price and bid price, all that stuff. So, strike price, getting wrecked by theta, stuff like that. But that's our range. So I like to set my top and bottom range. It's kind of it's what's called the iron condor in the trading world. So I have my top and bottom range set. So if the market, this is my end or if scenario, if we drop and we find support and start to come back our direction, it will take a call and it will pre-populate, take profits, stop losses, all that. If the market takes off, right, and it pumps north on us, right, and it gets up to here and it starts to reject, it will take that put and write it down. That's kind of our upper and lower. Now the continuation, if we break this resistance and we continue above 441.50, it will take that call and ride that continuation. And if we break our lower level of support around the 436.50, I think we put, then it will take that put and ride that continuation, which is how we played it yesterday. And the beauty is, like I said, it pre-populates your stop losses, pre-populates your take profits. Once everything is in there, right, all you got to do is you just set your alert on there. I think I have to add my webhook in there, yeah. So I'll set that after, because each automated trading assistant that we have has its own webhook, where it sends the signal basically to that. So that's all done through our website. So and then guys, I'll leave you off with this for those that are new in the room. We have our own Discord. We don't call it Discord because it's not, but we literally have it set up almost similar to Discord. And the reason why is there's so many scammers on Discord, and we want to be a one-stop shop. We don't want to have people bouncing from Discord to a website to another platform. It's too much, right? So we put it all in one thing. So you literally can control all your trading here. We have an academy. We have our trading floor where we do all our discussions. We have market insights we put out, community events. The community events is basically like what I'm doing right now. So if you click community events, you'll see we record our huddle every single morning, and this is actually on YouTube. You can watch it directly from the site. So we make it really, really easy for you to use. We do buy sell signals for lots of stuff, crypto, as well as stocks, right? So we have crypto, spot, we have stocks. And then if you don't know anything about trading, right, there's free tips in here you get for free. So just by signing up with an email. We have order book trading. We create all our own indicators. And then in the news section, you can watch economic events from it, market cap, CoinDesk. It's all right here. Like I said, we want to set it up as like a one-stop shop, so you're not bouncing all over the place. I love how the news is laid out. This is basically CoinDesk. I'm going to leave it with this because I'm a little bit over, but that's okay. If you go to CoinDesk itself, right? I didn't want CoinDesk.botjot.com. CoinDesk.com. This is what CoinDesk looks like. So for those that have struggled to find news, look at the pop-ups everywhere. Just pop-ups, pop-ups, pop-ups. I mean, it's not easily read, right? And so we actually take the feed and we clean it up for you, and this is how you see CoinDesk. A lot easier to find a story. And the nice thing is it's just a channel, right? So like if you find this one right here, or let's say first movers, Bitcoin clings to 26K. Oh, I want to read about that. You click it, it takes you directly to that CoinDesk article. So that way you don't have to deal with the pop-ups. And it opens a new page, right? So if you want to close that page, right, if you want to close the page, you just go back to your chart, and then you can say, okay, well, let me look at this one. Oh, okay, got that article. Close the page, you go back, let me look at this one. So it makes it a lot easier to kind of sift through the news, right? So but again, we do everything in this room. We have we have our live trading floor, we do education, we trade together, buy sell signals, indicators, all that stuff. So we actually just adjusted our pricing as well. I will talk just briefly on that. So if you go to the main pages on here, you go to plans on here, so you can sign up for free. You get quite a bit of stuff for free. Our starter package, which gives you pretty much everything that you would need to get started, it's just $47 a month. That gives you a little more website content, educational stuff, and then as well as you can run our automated trading. You get some indicators, things like that. Now, if you're looking to really get into it, right, our premium, we actually lowered this from $9.99 down to $2.97. This is where you can pretty much you get free range of everything on the website. So you get to run as many indicators as you want. You get a little more one-on-one sessions available, market recaps that we're actually gonna start doing that Sunday. So this will be our first market recap that I will do this Sunday. And then if you have any trades, that you want us to review, we'll do extra reviews. We're going to start doing monthly webinars. So each month we'll have a, 1 hour, 2 hour class where, we'll do a deep analysis of the market, where we see it going, what we see, trend lines, etc. So it gives you a lot of value, plus you can run the automated automation that we have, right? So to pay for that. So, but it's just a massive value. So since we've dropped that, but I appreciate you guys' time. I'm going to end the community side of this. I ran a little bit long. I may just make the huddles be longer. It's a lot to fit in that 30 minutes now, but I do try to get it done before market open because we do trade together. So I will be putting that link out to you guys here in the room once I end this, and I appreciate you guys' time.